The animal kingdom has a pretty wide variety of different quirks to differentiate one species from another. Some animals are small but quick. These are the prey. Others are big and have ways to attack the prey. These range from claws to teeth. However, one of the more unorthodox abilities that benefit a predator's ability to catch prey are tentacles. This ability belongs to the likes of the octopus and the squid. However, at some points in fiction has been adapted onto humanoids. And while these characters aren't exactly human, they aren't that far off, nor are they afraid to use their tentacles to take down any foe. Slenderman, the tall conniving creepypasta, versus Ika Musume, the Squid Girl. I'm your host, Ribbit Theatre, and it's my job to analyse each and every aspect of both characters to find out who comes out on top. Okay, before I begin talking about this faceless fighter, I need to establish something. You see, Slenderman is a creation of the internet, and literally anyone can make information about the Slenderman up. So how am I even supposed to use this guy? There are so many stories about the guy, it would take years to read every story. Well, technically, all of this stuff is non-canon. I will be sticking to the Slenderman incarnations that are the most well-known and trustworthy. In other words, they don't make Slenderman way more powerful than he is. These being the original Slenderman story, Slenderman 8 Pages, Marble Hornets, etc. Now that we have cleared this up, we can now get into possibly the most famous creepypasta of all time. Supposedly existing for thousands of years, not much is known about the Slenderman's backstory, other than he's sort of a shapeshifter that has chosen to take the form of a tall, pale, faceless man wearing a suit and tie. But don't let that lifeless appearance fool you, he is one tough foe to beat. He has the physical strength to kill humans in very brutal ways for one, but he can also yank trees out of the ground with the power of his tentacles alone. He also has the ability to teleport, which gives him some impressive speed, able to get across large sections of forest very quickly, and his tentacles can move much faster than humans and even other creepypasta characters such as Jeff the Killer. Speaking of Jeff, Slenderman has beaten him with relative ease, and this kid can take on multiple fully grown adults at once and came out the victor. Meanwhile, Slendy had very little trouble taking him out. He also has a few other abilities on his side too. He appears to have the ability to disable technology, most notably cameras, but he can likely perform this action on other objects too. The likelihood of him having pyrokinesis is also fairly high, as he is often accompanied by some nice fire scenery. Because, you know, you wouldn't want to be cold while he's mutilating you and putting your organs in bags. Yeah, he does that, don't ask. Oh, but if you think you can play the waiting game with this guy, don't bother, because staying around Slendy has been known to cause sickness. Symptoms include vomiting, coughing up blood, amnesia, paranoia, and other negative effects, particularly on a person's mental health. This does take time, and most symptoms are not deadly or are curable, but when you're in a fight with this guy, they might as well be deadly. So remember earlier when I mentioned bags and organs? Yeah, Slenderman kills you in ways that are kinda sick. He'll impale you using trees, or he'll rip out your intestines and put them in bags and then put them back. Okay, we know nothing about Slenderman's backstory, however, I hope a doctor's degree was somewhere in there. Maybe a vet too, considering he does the exact same thing to animals as well. How about we change the subject? But his greatest area is experience. He has thousands of years of experience under his belt, and he has been terrorizing and killing humans for all of them. However, despite him being portrayed as such, Slenderman is not perfect. Though he has many years of experience, those who spent fighting humans or slightly metahumans, he also kinda lacks in the durability department. He got killed by a regular gun. In fact, he couldn't even dodge the bullets from said gun, so his reaction speed is a bit lacking too. But despite this, Slenderman is ready to take on any opponent. Speaking of which... We are no stranger to the idea that we are not benefiting our planet in the most positive of ways. We never really assumed that any other species had much of an opinion on the subject. However, it turns out that little girls with tentacle hair that come from the bottom of the sea are very angry about it. Angry enough to want to invade humanity. These were the ambitions of Ika Musume. She stated she would invade humanity for polluting the ocean, and she started at a small beach store. However, after destroying the wall of said store, she was forced to work there until the wall was paid for. But the idea of an invasion never truly left her mind. But how could she have the ambition of invading humanity if she didn't have some badass abilities to back her up? First of all, Ika being a squid is incredibly adept in the water. She can breathe underwater for one, but she can also travel across large sections of ocean in incredibly short periods of time. When underwater, she seems to be significantly more mobile. But even when out of the water, she is one formidable foe. She destroyed a giant hill that was bigger than many buildings in her seaside town. However, since this was made of sand, we can't place this at the multi-large building scale. Maybe more large building to multi-building. Still, she did this with ease. She can slam her tentacles at people so hard it sends them flying in the air. She can hold off multiple humans, one of which can throw a handheld system so hard that it cracks a concrete wall. Ika is also incredibly fast. She can send her tentacles to the other side of a beach in about a second, and on top of this, her tentacles have moved out of the way of lasers. Ika has also got some toon force on her side, and her best example of this is her durability. She tanks constant beam from Iko, who, as stated earlier, can throw a handheld system at a wall so hard that it cracked it, and Chizuru, who can, well, do this.
そんなに差はないし、あゆみちゃんがちょっと大げさなだけなのよ。私は比較的普通。人間と比較しなきゃ意味ないじゃない。
And this...
すごい転び方したけど大丈夫？バナナの皮って普通に転ぶから危ないわよね。
Oh, yeah, and this.
どうやってるんだ？あれ？おかしいな。姉貴、壊れてるって言ったでしょ。
One time while playing volleyball, she survived the volleyball being hit so hard that when flying towards the ground it created a sonic boom and burned up at the atmosphere. And when it hit the ground it created an explosion that not only created a crater, but it also created several waves in the ocean. And another time she survived a point-blank explosion from the Ika bot that seemed to be the size of multiple buildings. Thanks to these two feats, we can place Ika's durability at around multi-building plus, as she tanked both of these attacks with very little damage. As for those tentacles of hers, well, a large brown bear has bitten them and she was more annoyed than hurt. And even when they are cut off, Ika can heal them incredibly quickly. Usually they're back by the next scene. Ika has some other abilities. For example, those flaps on her hat. They're strong enough to hit someone so hard they go flying through the air. On top of this, Ika is hard to use stealth on as she can glow very brightly. But her best ability is arguably this. You see those bracelets on her wrists? They allow her to alter her weight. For example, she can make herself extremely heavy to prevent her opponents from being able to knock her down. Or the much cooler one, she can make herself so light that she can float or even fly. This is a great range tactic and it is also great for escaping. Other abilities include being able to blind the opponent with ink, being extremely gifted in maths and art, and the ability to eat an excessive amount of shrimp without getting full. However, Ika is not perfect. Ika is very overconfident, cocky, and not very smart. With the exception of art and maths, she lacks intelligence, not to mention she relies on her tentacles big time. When her tentacles stopped working, she became a lot more mundane and a lot less of a threat. So while she may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, she is certainly one of the strongest. This is one squid you don't want to mess with.
清美がいい人だというからには、私ももう少し温かい目で早苗と付き合うことにしたでげそ。
そうか、イカちゃん見て見て、これ全部早苗さんの自信作なんだって。こんなに愛されてるなんて羨ましいよ。イカちゃんは早苗さんのことよくわからないとか苦手って言うけど、こんなに愛してくれる人なかなかいないよ。もっと早苗さんと仲良くしようよ。清美のわからずよ。イカちゃん、やっぱり早苗は苦手でげそ。
A great slam and then some. Here goes. Knockout!
Wait, did Slenderman, the most famous creepypasta of all time, lose to a girl with squid tentacles from a slice of life anime? Well, if you watch the analysis, you should probably know why. With what we use for Slenderman, which is the canon stuff, he honestly isn't as powerful as he's made out to be. Slenderman's best strength feat is pulling trees out of the ground. Impressive, but not compared to Ika, who can destroy a large building-sized hill with ease. Speed was also in Ika's favour. She can react to lasers. Slenderman can't even react to bullets. Slenderman's best bet was teleportation, but he rarely utilises this in a way that will be good enough to blitz Ika, or even really keep up with her, and escaping isn't going to be an option since Ika can fly and has greatly superior range. Slenderman was smarter and more experienced, but Ika has taken on much tougher foes like Chizuru, which trumps Slenderman's encounter with Jeff, whose best feat is taking on multiple humans, something Ika can do without trying. And durability, do I really need to explain anything? Slenderman was taken out by bullets. Ika tanked a multi-building explosion and was completely fine. However, Slenderman's fast-paced healing factor works on his whole body, except his head. Ika meanwhile only works on her tentacles, but considering how much Ika relies on them and uses them as a defense mechanism, she would still be able to put her healing factor to good use. The only thing Slenderman had in his favour was Slender Sickness, as Ika has shown that she can catch human illnesses. However, given how fragile Slenderman is, the fight would be over before he got the chance to fully utilise it. But what about Slenderman's fire? Well, considering Ika can shoot ink, she could very easily put out these said fires. Heck, Ika's fighting style plays perfectly into her favour too. For one, Ika's ability to glow would make Slenderman's stealthy strategy pretty much obsolete. Both may have tentacles, but not only are Ika's faster, stronger, and have superior range, but she beats him in numbers too. Slenderman is usually depicted as having only 4 or 6 tentacles. Meanwhile, Ika has 10, and considering how pathetic Slendy's reaction speed is, and Ika's tentacles are able to dodge lasers, Slenderman's not going to be able to fight off Ika's tentacles. In this fight's case, it was Brain vs Brawn, but not only does Ika take on smarter opponents all the time, such as the Three Stooges, but she was still the better experienced one, and had more abilities to work with, giving her an unpredictability advantage so she could still compete in the intelligence area. Meanwhile, Slenderman is far from Ika's level physically, and didn't have nearly enough abilities and was far less agile, making this surprisingly straightforward in Ika's favour. Slenderman may be known for it, but Ika was the real tentacler of this fight. The winner is Ika Musume.
俺の3号になんてことしてくれるんだ。
知らないでゲソ。テレビの電源入れただけでゲソ。
水イカ3号はテレビのリモコンでも動くんだよ。電源ボタンは自爆ボタンなんだ。
なんで一番よく使うボタンを自爆ボタンにしたでゲソ。
To take you someplace really special. A place I like to spend a lot of time. My house.
He did. I know paperwork.
This office is now closed.
Yeah!